How's it going out there, everybody? Haven't posted an update on my car for a while, but I have been working on it. So I think we'll go over a couple of things today on what's going on here. I'll probably break this down into segments just so it's easier for you guys and I kind of explain what's going on. Maybe you'll find some stuff helpful, but I think in this video we'll talk about the power steering and some of the accessory stuff that I did. So look over here in my engine compartment. I don't know if you've looked at my videos previously, but what I've got here is just an old, like, late 60s, early 70s block with a vortec top end on it. But what I ended up doing was running, this is actually, all this stuff's like 99, 2000 Chevy truck, something like that, accessories. So I did this for a couple reasons. One, so I can have the serpentine set up, internally regulated alternator, and it's pretty easy to do. I don't know if I can show it in the video real well, but with the vortec heads they have like 3 holes for accessories on the front of each head, whereas the old style ones didn't. So there's actually just like 2 units that go on here. They're all kind of like a cast aluminum piece. You can see the alternator brackets, kind of one piece just bolts on with a couple bolts, and then this is actually where the air conditioning would mount originally, but I'm not going to run that. But this whole bracket has the power steering pump, and it would have the AC, has this idler pulley and stuff on it. So all that stuff just bolts on. It's a couple pieces. I'm using the water pump down here too for this setup. And just, you know, there's another idler pulley here. So it's super easy to take on and off. This only has, I think, 5 bolts, and this has, I believe, just like 3 in it. So super simple. But one of the things that I ran into, and I've never really seen anyone use these accessories in this application before, and I don't know why, but I'm doing it. So one issue was the power steering line. So if we go over here, I had to have this one made. You can see it right here, runs across just straight over to the back. But if I can show you over here, this right here is like the newer power steering line, like what the truck would have had that I got these accessories off of. And if you look at the fitting, this will focus good. Let's see. There we go. So the fitting's got like this different flaring, and there's actually like an O-ring on here. It's kind of flat on the end. So that's a little bit different than an original style one, which is like this. So it has this just a regular kind of flared end with the, I don't know if it's like a pipe thread or what, but that just threads into, one end goes to the power steering pump and one end goes to the steering box. So more or less what I had to do, I thought it'd be cool and just you know, thread this into the back of the power steering box and it would work, but since it was all different, it wouldn't actually seal right. I mean, the pipe thread part, you know, would thread in there, but it wouldn't actually like lock in the flared end to seal it. So I had to go to a local place here where I live. They actually make like hydraulic hoses and stuff like that. But I took the power steering pump down there and these lines and everything, and I said, you know, I need a fitting like this to go into the power steering pump on one end of the line, and I need this kind of a fitting, you know, flared deal for the other end of the line to go into the steering box, and they were able to make that for me. So essentially what they did, and it's kind of hard to see down in there I guess, but they actually found kind of a brass fitting that would thread into the power steering pump that had the O-ring and everything on it, and then the guy got this kind of 45-degree hydraulic compression fitting there. Initially what I was going to do was run this the other direction and like kind of around the motor mount down there on the cross member, and then it would come back up. There's like a bracket little tab thing right here the hose is supposed to clip into. So it'd go around the motor mount, up this, and then over here where this screws in. But I kind of measured it, but I didn't get a very good accurate measurement on it, so I took the stuff down there and had him compression fit this first line here. So he put this fitting on, and then he cut me like I think 18 inches of hose right here. But since this was going to have to go around the motor mount and kind of be twisted all funky, he left this one uncrimped. And he's like, hey, just go back, put it in your car, figure out where it's got to be clocked at, you know, to spin it the right direction so it would bolt into here. And then he told me to come back and then he'd compression, or, you know, put it on there after I marked it. So I brought the hose back to my house here, put it on the car, going around the motor mount, but it was actually like just long enough to go in there. So I didn't really like it. It was kind of rubbing on the motor mount down there a little bit. It was just barely, kind of almost too short. So I got to looking at this a little bit and figured I could just, you know, flip this over and make the 45 come this way and just make it go straight up here and bolt in. That's essentially what I did. So just marked the hydraulic hose to where it needed to be trimmed off to, and marked this to where it needed to be clocked at. Went back down there, the dude crimped it all together, and I bolted it on, and it's gonna work just fine. So got my return line on there too. It just kind of runs around. The return line little pipe fitting thing deal comes out of the pump, kind of different than the original one too. So it comes out, it's kind of pointing forwards there. I think normally they just kind of come straight off, or they're kind of looped down here a little differently, but if I can get in there I can't really see, but my line just kind of comes up and it loops around to this. So it'll technically work for now so I can get the car running and everything, but in the future I might pop this off and I'll like cut this tube off right here so it just comes straight up, and then maybe I'll reflare it or something so my line can just come over and loop straight onto it. Be a little bit cleaner. So I don't know if you guys have like a hydraulic line place or whatever where you might live, but there's a couple places here in my town that do this. They make all kinds of like hydraulic lines for like tractors and equipment, or cars. They can do like air conditioning lines, water hoses. They make all kinds of stuff. But if you don't, you know, some auto parts stores have machine shops in them, and occasionally they have the crimping tools so they can make these kind of lines. If not, maybe you'd have to go to like an industrial supply or an agriculture or farm type place, even like maybe a construction company or something that has lots of like bulldozers and tractors and loaders, that kind of stuff. They have to make hydraulic lines once in a while, so they might have the ability to get you those fittings and make those lines and stuff. So anyway, that was kind of one holdup I had, was getting that power steering line made so it would adapt from the new pump to the old one. But I got that sorted out, and guess we'll get on to another video here and show you some more stuff that I've been working on.